party, the former Likud member of Knesset, SHARREN HASKEL. And SHARREN, thank you for joining us.
Hi, good evening.
Now, we've had you in the past as a Likud member. I know you've spoken about this elsewhere, but for our viewers that haven't heard it yet, why leave the Likud to join GIDEON SAYAR and the New Hope Party?
This was a very hard and painful decision, but I did it, with a fully committed heart, and I actually feel a relief. The Likud party of today is not the Likud party of the past. And to tell you the truth, Benjamin Netanyahu of today is not the same Benjamin Netanyahu of 10 years ago. And after seeing and having some red line that were crossed in the past year, I've decided to leave the Likud party, to give my mandate back to the Knesset and resign from my position and join GIDEON SAYAR as the only option who can reverse and change our future. GIDEON SAYAR is the only real candidate that's competing against Netanyahu in changing him. I think he's one of the one of the most honest politicians I've met. He's got integrity. He's got a lot of experience under his hands. He's served our country in so many meaningful and important intersections. Made important decisions, and I trust him as the next prime minister of the country.
Well, let's see who you don't trust, because we mentioned the hiring of this Lincoln Project in the U.S. that really focused on Donald Trump's character, on what they said was his corruption. Now, you spent years in the Likud, GIDEON SAYAR even far more, working alongside Benjamin Netanyahu. The policy positions seem quite similar. Is that the focus then of the attack on Prime Minister Netanyahu's character and alleged corruption as a leader?
We have a professional campaign. We have the most professional campaign. We've hired 4 top Republican professional political advisor for this campaign, who worked with George Bush, who worked with Mitt Romney, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Our mission is to win these elections, and by their records and their professionality, we believe we can do it.
All right. Well, let's look at some of the latest polls, SHARREN, because, of course, the New Hope started with a big bang. Some polls initially, early on, showed them coming within 4 or 5 Knesset seats, parliament seats of the Likud. The latest polls, not so much. Actually, we've seen the New Hope sort of losing ground on the Likud, 29 seats in a most recent poll, 16 for New Hope. Why is New Hope losing ground? And is this due to, for example, the vaccination program that Prime Minister Netanyahu is claiming credit for? Why do you think the party has been losing ground lately?
So first of all, we need to understand that those polls were not reflecting the reality of what happened later on, and we can't rely on polls. We have one focus, and it is to win these elections. Now, Israeli elections and American elections are very different. Our parliamentary system means that the one who have the most supporters to support him in forming a coalition, so more than 61 votes, he's the one that's going to form the coalition, and he's the one that's going to win the votes. Netanyahu, even though some other parties had more mandates and more votes than the Likud party, still Netanyahu was the one to form the coalition. Now, Netanyahu in the last 3 elections was not able to form an actual and definitely not a stable coalition. GIDEON SAYAR can do that. GIDEON SAYAR is someone who can unite people from different sections of politics in order to form a stable government, a government that can actually serve the people and get us out of the economical crisis that we're in today.
Let's get in the specifics of that. Who does the New Hope see, GIDEON SAYAR see, those parties that will be part of that coalition that can replace a Netanyahu-led government?
Well, you have a vast variety of every party who ever sat with Netanyahu in the past. I'm not going to form with you now the coalition, but it can be plus or minus almost any party that's working today on winning these, on being elected in these elections. He's the only one that can form a coalition.
if you subtract the Likud from that equation, then you would need to find other parties. I mean, would you sit with some Israeli Arab parties? We know that Prime Minister Netanyahu is looking to the Israeli Arab parties.
You don't need the Arab parties and you don't need the Likud parties in order to form this coalition. You have a far more mandates from all the other parties. You can subtract, you can add. The difference between a GIDEON SAYAR coalition and a Netanyahu coalition is that different parties can really somewhat blackmail Netanyahu into different positions. Look what he's done with blue and white. For 17 mandates, he gave up 14 government position. This has never happened before in Israeli history. Now, with the leverage that GIDEON SAYAR have, he can look after the future of Israel in order to get out of our economical crisis we're in.
If the polls are anywhere close to where they are, Sharon, the numbers still don't add up unless you can peel off some of the Likud. Now
you're wrong.
Well, okay.
You're wrong because
let me ask you something. If
you take the Likud party numbers and the Arab list number and you subtract them, you have more than almost 80 mandates you can play with.
The religious. I don't see necessarily Maryland joining a coalition. But let me ask you something.
80 mandates. You need 61 mandates. Therefore, you can subtract and add any one of these
very
parties.
Briefly, and we only 30 seconds. You broke off from the Likud. Are there other members of parliament that you think could break off from the Likud and join with GIDEON SAYAR either before or maybe after an election?
So if GIDEON SAYAR would have wanted that, he could have done that. But I think that we have a very professional team today. I don't think we need any more members from the Likud party. You see, we've got Elkin, we've got Michal Shir, we've just added Dani Dayan, as well, who many people know him. He was our former New York ambassador of Israel. We have Michal Diamant Shamir, the granddaughter of the Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir. I think this is a very professional and great team that will lead Israel.
SHARREN HASKEL, candidate now for the New Hope Party of GIDEON SAYAR. Thank you for coming on. And